My name is H.A. Goodman, and I'm an author, columnist, and journalist. Please go ahead and share my latest article in the Daily Caller below. Free Julian Assange. I will be starting a new channel devoted to appreciation and love and enjoyment of the Second Amendment of the Bill of Rights. You can't just simply pick and choose the freedoms and rights that are written within the Bill of Rights and the Constitution. Every American should enjoy every aspect of the Bill of Rights. Anyway, that channel will be up within, I would say, about a week and a half. Maybe sooner. This is really important. Mueller team urges federal judge to reject request for hearing on leaks. So, what took place just recently, just the other day, is that Paul Manafort's lawyers said, look, we know that there were leaks to all these different media corporations. So let's see if there was one. Okay, so I think there's a Bloomberg article that lists all the publications and... Oh, okay, so... I love this. He hasn't even... Mueller refutes Manafort's claim of grand jury leaks by government. That's not a refutation. This is... Okay, so... He doesn't refute. He acknowledges, but says it's not that big of a deal. Because he's Mueller. Mueller time! He's all-powerful and will not stand for anyone questioning his power and authority. Even though today we found out from John Solomon of The Hill that he's linked to a Russian oligarch. I did a segment on that. Check a couple segments prior to this one. Okay. So, Robert Mueller acknowledges, the Mueller team, the U.S. government acknowledges that the Associated Press, the New York Times, CNN, NBC News, and BuzzFeed all were a part of leaks from the United States government. These leaks are linked to the Obama administration. I'll get to that in a second. But and then you have James Comey, who leaked his queasy memos. Mind you, this is not whistleblowing. So it's all convoluted, and there's obviously nothing that Mueller is doing. There's no Trump-Russia collusion. It's just nonsense. They're trying to throw as much mud as they can because they think that if they do so, people will look at Hillary Clinton's real crimes in a relative manner, which is what's taking place. So they've been successful thus far in convincing people who would never have voted for Trump to begin with, which really doesn't help them in terms of any election. They're going to lose the House. So, the Associated Press, the New York Times, CNN, NBC News, and BuzzFeed. Let's say that, this can take down Mueller. Peter Strzok's text message, if Trump just tweets it every day, will take down Mueller in a second. Oh, we have to engage in an insurance policy. We can't take the risk of Trump being president. But how did the Associated Press, the New York Times, CNN, NBC News, and BuzzFeed get information, grand jury information, from grand jury information regarding the Manafort case, or the case against Manafort? That is a very valid request. You already had a judge striking down, or at least expressing his opinion that Mueller has restraints. He can't simply just look into Manafort's past just because he wants to and find any alleged crime, when in reality all he wants to do is take down Trump. So even the judge just recently said, hey, you just want to take it down. You just want to take down Trump. But let's just look at a very famous leak. So Jake Tapper, Steele dossier. Mentions CNN. Clapper told... Okay, so James Clapper spoke to CNN about the Steele dossier. James Clapper's Steele dossier testimony may have been false. Let's just go back to the Steele dossier. Very likely, leaks regarding Manafort will go all the way back or correlate to James Clapper, former ODNI chief. This is a National Review article. Clapper may have lied to Congress about the Steele dossier leak. James Clapper may have misled Congress regarding his contacts with the media during his tenure as the Director of National Intelligence, according to a report on Russian election meddling released by congressional Republicans Friday. Clapper initially told the House Intelligence Committee, which produced the report, that he had no contact with the media. Of course, this now... Oh my God, give me a break. Okay. That he had no contact with the media regarding the infamous Steele dossier during his time serving in the Obama administration. So if you're not talking about Clapper, you're talking about Brennan. If you're not talking about Brennan, you're talking about Mother Jones journalists who were integral in the Steele dossier as well. So Clapper initially told the House Intelligence Committee, which produced the report, that he had no contact with the media regarding the infamous Steele dossier during his time serving in the Obama administration. Clapper later admitted that he had discussed the dossier with CNN's Jake Tapper after lawmakers confronted him. Didn't speak to the media? Well, yeah, I did. So this is not the first time he's lied. He's lied under oath about the NSA collecting information about Americans. Now, if you have a person who's leaking information regarding Manafort's case in the U.S. government while Trump is president, then that person very likely has ties, or either is beholden or has ties to, or was in the DOJ or in the intelligence community during President Obama's tenure, or at least has an allegiance towards the Democratic Party in some way if they're trying to take down Manafort, just to have him sing and spin. Clapper is just one example. That person, let's say you have a whole bunch of people who were leaking information, very possibly or very likely can be tied to James Clapper, who lied about his contacts in the media regarding the Steele dossier. But it's not just James Clapper. Okay, Mother Jones journalists, Steele dossier. Okay, so and of course they're after Nunes, but who are the Mother Jones journalists? Okay, hold on one second. Mother Jones journalist, Steele dossier. Leaked to press. Lord. All right. I'm trying to find out. Please bear with me. Why did BuzzFeed publish the Trump dossier? Dave DeCorn. There we go. The trouble with publishing the Trump dossier: in distributing a set of inflammatory allegations that it admitted it could not vouch for, BuzzFeed sidestepped a basic principle of journalism. Okay, this is The Atlantic. Great article. I'll put that below. So thanks for bearing with me, but here's what I wanted to Now BuzzFeed is suing the DNC, and of course BuzzFeed asked for information from the intelligence community, and they said, nah, not gonna help you. But here is David Korn is... Okay, so David Korn of Mother Jones also published a story based on information collected by the British intelligence operative in October. Christopher Steele never told anyone that Cody Shearer and Sidney Blumenthal were also a part of it. So this might not be an example of a leak, but this is important. Okay, so Smith alluded to the document's wide circulation, a nod to the fact that many outlets have either acquired or been offered the chance to view it. A group that includes CNN, Politico, and Lawfare. David Korn of Mother Jones also published a story based on information collected by the British intelligence operative in October. Why would you do that in October of 2016? David Korn's story in Mother Jones is October 31st, 2016. Talk about influencing the election. A veteran spy has given the FBI information. No, he hasn't. A veteran spy has just given the FBI information out of the goodness of his own heart. This is David Korn's article. This ties into the whole leaks with Manafort. It might not be an example of a leak, but it proves how integral the media was in spreading these bogus, defamatory lies. Fusion GPS, Christopher Steele, and BuzzFeed are being sued for defamation. A veteran spy was paid, and a former MI6 spy was paid, not by the Washington Free Beacon, had nothing to do with him. Washington Free Beacon was out of the picture long before Christopher Steele and Russians were a part of everything. We know now that BuzzFeed is suing the DNC. Most likely David Korn never knew that BuzzFeed would be suing the DNC because it is being sued for defamation by 4 Russian individuals. I believe the tally is 4. It's an entrepreneur and 3 bankers. Christopher Steele has 2 lawsuits, I believe, 1 or 2, and Fusion GPS is being sued by the same people, I believe, as BuzzFeed is being sued by. But a veteran spy has given the FBI information alleging a Russian operation to cultivate Donald Trump. This is long before Manafort was indicted for alleged crimes that took place a decade before the election. He's trying to find out leaks to the press. But this article from Mother Jones and David Korn, this is even before BuzzFeed actually published the entire dossier. Has the Bureau investigated this material? On Friday, this is when you read this article in Mother Jones by David Korn, you see the extent. So we know now that an investigation was based on nonsense. There's zero evidence. It is May of 2018. Mueller has indicted people for crimes that have nothing to do with Trump Russia. The DNC never gave its servers to the FBI. Veteran NSA and CIA officials, William Binney and Ray McGovern, have all said that it was a leak, not a hack. Like I said, this is very important. BuzzFeed is suing the DNC. There's defamation lawsuits left and right. The Mueller probe is fizzling out because James Comey was fired for his handling of the Clinton email investigation. Al Franken is no longer in government. James Comey has been fired. Andrew McCabe was fired. We found out eventually that Peter Strzok and Lisa Page had this affair, but also engaged in a conspiracy, not a theory, called an insurance policy, because they couldn't allow the risk of Trump becoming elected. And I'll just read you this Mother Jones article. On Friday, FBI Director James Comey set off a political blast. Oh my goodness. When he informed congressional leaders that the Bureau had stumbled across emails that might be pertinent to its completed inquiry into Hillary Clinton's handling of emails when she was Secretary of State. Yeah, we eventually found out that 18 classified emails were found on Weiner's laptop. We also found out that they sat on the Weiner laptop, that Andrew McCabe knew about it in September. The notion that they tried to influence the election, Comey, that's ridiculous. At a certain point, you have to be honest to the American people. The possible incoming president has classified intelligence outside the U.S. government on a laptop of a person who was heading to prison. The Clinton campaign and others criticized Comey for intervening in a presidential campaign and breaking the Justice Department tradition. It's not Justice Department tradition. Meeting with Bill Clinton on a plane to speak about golf, Brexit, and grandchildren? Give me a break. It's the biggest This is exactly why Democrats lose. Because of this kind of, pick and choose what the history of the DOJ is. Dossier. It also reported that Russian intelligence, okay. So, he's basing his article here on the Steele dossier. Even though, so it goes on, is he compromised? But Reed's recent note hinted at more than the Page and Manafort affairs. So what is he talking about with Manafort here? On Monday, ABC News reported that the FBI has mounted a preliminary inquiry into the foreign business ties of Paul Manafort, Trump's former campaign chief. But Reed's recent note hinted at more than just the Page or Manafort affairs. What? Interesting. At the end of August, Reed... so what was he talking about? Oh, Harry Reid, who met with John Brennan. So we know all of this is a very interesting article. Oh my goodness. Harry Reid's missive set off a burst of speculation on Twitter. What was he referring to? The young of us. Reid had written to Comey and demanded an investigation of the connections between the Russian government and Donald Trump's presidential campaign. And in that letter, he directly referred to Carter Page, an American businessman cited by Trump as one of his foreign policy advisors who had financial ties to Russia and had recently visited Moscow. So what? You know who also has financial ties to Moscow and visited Russia and actually visited Moscow and went to, Vladimir Putin's house? Bill Clinton. Oh, you don't want to know when? During the uranium sale. So this might sound as like this dry, long-winded diatribe, but it relates directly to they were talking about this. David Corn article and Mother Jones was talking about Manafort and information derived from the Steele dossier in October of 2016. How did Mr. Corn get this information? How are people? This is before even the president of the United States, apparently, President Obama, and the future president were even given Trump were even given the Steele dossier. This is before BuzzFeed published the dossier. Have you heard of Pass the Courvoisier? This is Pass the Dossier. And I think one line is like, everybody sing it now. This is everybody see it now. Pass the dossier. Everyone's passing the dossier and looking at it. And they're talking about Manafort. They're talking about Carter Page. This Mother Jones article is... It's a case study in how propaganda, xenophobic propaganda, by the way, trying to relive and create a Cold War, is started. So yeah, Manafort has every right to to go back to ask the judge, and the judge should grant him all the information on leaks that the U.S. government has. We know that Mother Jones journalists, we know that NBC News, CNN, with Jake Tapper, we know that John Brennan was all over the place. We know, speaking to Harry Reid, we know that James Clapper lied, just like James Comey lied. He said they are all liars, but this fabrication or this buildup of all the smoke without any evidence of anything. What they did was, that article, and the Mother Jones article was really interesting. It was like, Reid wants information on the ties to Russia. Well, don't the Clintons have ties to Russia? No. That's off limits. We have to talk about Trump's ties to Russia. In 2016, this Mother Jones article, even before Clinton's monumental loss, they're already building up the Manafort-Carter-Page issue without any knowledge of wrongdoing, without any connection to Trump-Russia collusion, without any evidence of Trump-Russia collusion. It's all speculation and gossip. Whereas it's not speculation with Clinton. She did preside over increased weapons sales. Those countries did give money to the Clinton Foundation. Boeing did give money to the Clinton Foundation. There was a favorable outcome. And there's $10 billion was raised by Bill and Hillary Clinton. That money is no longer there. So Manafort definitely has a case. In terms of, he definitely has a chance to go ahead and he definitely has a chance to get the judge to provide the journalists and the sources of these journalists who provided leaks to them. Because we're not talking about whistleblowers. We're not talking about WikiLeaks. Julian Assange should be free. He's a publisher. We're talking about political operatives like Sidney Blumenthal and Cody Shearer. Mr. Korn didn't put those guys in his article. They helped Christopher Steele compile a fake news dossier that's now led to BuzzFeed suing the DNC. Can you imagine anything more absurd? That's lost upon everyone. BuzzFeed suing the DNC is the most absurd fiasco of this whole thing. Give me your thoughts below. This all leads back to Obama's White House, Obama's administration. And you're talking about James Clapper, you're talking about John Brennan, you're talking about liberal journalists, CNN, a whole bunch of other outlets, Mother Jones, who helped fabricate Trump-Russia even before Clinton lost. Manafort definitely has a reason to inquire about leaks regarding his indictment in the public sphere before he was even indicted. Give me your thoughts below. Share this segment everywhere. Subscribe right now, please, to this YouTube channel. I want to thank you if you're watching from countries outside the U.S. in Australia, the UK, Ireland, New Zealand, Canada, Pakistan, India, South Africa. I want to thank you. Give me your thoughts below. Thank you so much for listening. And anywhere else, thank you for watching.